guys, I'm Nina.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ethan.
And we are Bloody Essentials. Just a quick shout out to all of our listeners for supporting the show. Guys, it means so much to us, so thank you. Also, shout out to our Patreon members, Rick, Swift, and David. Guys, thank you so much for contributing to the show. Hope you're enjoying those awesome perks. And, thank you just for being our friends. So,
yes, we appreciate
you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Ethan is going to tell you guys about our upcoming events.
All right, y'all. July 26th, the Horror House, and yes, there will probably be some horrors there, but that's beside the point, is having their 3-year anniversary at the Music Box Theater. It is a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 themed evening. Dream Warriors. Come on, guys. It's a freaking awesome movie.
Best.
That's debatable.
You can debate it all you want at the Music Box.
Yeah, that's debatable, but we can have that debate at the Music Box.
Yes.
So, come on out. Let them know that you support them. They are great people. They are a staple in Chicago for the horror community. They help out everybody all the time. We can go support them, show our love to them, show our love for the horror community, hang out, have a drink, get scared.
Yes. So, also, just to add on to that, if anyone who buys a ticket online through the Music Box website, you're automatically entered into a raffle to win an event tee, a collector's cup, a gift card to the Horror House, and not only that, but a signed 8x10 from Robert Englund himself.
That is correct.
No 2 hours waiting in line. If you can't make it to Flashback Weekend in Chicago, and you can't afford to pay the autograph there, you can just buy your tickets online through the Music Box website, and you have a chance of getting that signature. And I know a lot of people need that collector's item for their horror stash.
But make sure that you get your tickets before July 4th, because that is when they are picking it. They are picking the winner on July 4th.
Yep.
So make sure that you get your tickets before then.
Good call out.
Thank you.
Also, the signature does come with a certificate of authenticity, so you don't need to worry. It's authentic. So,
yes.
Yep.
Well, they wouldn't do something if it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but some people are like, is it authentic?
They are stand-up people. So.
They are, yeah. But yep, that's our upcoming appearances. And tonight we are doing our Pride Month movie. And we voted and we decided we're going to do They Them from 2022, starring Mr. Kevin Bacon himself. I believe this was a first watch for you two, right?
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure. I saw this movie when it first came out, and I was a little hesitant at first. The trailer didn't really pull me in right away. And honestly, I was won over because it was Kevin Bacon returning to a horror movie. So that's what brought me to it.
I mean, you can't go wrong with some bacon. You know what I mean? This guy has been popping up in my life so much lately. I just have to say that. I have watched a lot of Kevin Bacon recently. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I love Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
I was a little hesitant to watch this for another reason. It was
you want to share?
Yeah, Blumhouse. And I was like, I don't know.
And it's PG-13.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't
even realize that it was PG-13. That makes sense, though.
That makes sense. Yeah. You can do a lot of things in a PG-13 movie, apparently, after watching this, but you cannot kill people on screen.
Yes.
You can do some other things that I was like, oh my, but you can't do that.
No, you can't.
So unfortunately, there's not a lot of on-screen kills, and the ones you do see are kind of But I will tell you what I thought about the movie afterwards. This was not a first-time watch for me. Like I said, I'd seen it before when it first came out. So let's get into plot points.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. So we see a lady. She's driving through the woods. I love that she's listening to a spooky true crime type podcast thing. And she's like, nope.
But that's all of us. If we were cruising through some spooky woods, of course we'd be listening to a scary podcast.
You have to set the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But right away she gets a flat tire. There's no cell phone reception.
As long as you're not listening to those assholes, the bloody essentials.
Tell me what you're really saying. She gets a flat tire. There's no cell reception. And then she looks behind the car and she notices that somebody has laid out a trap to mess with people's tires. I don't know what they call those, but yeah. So she freaks out and she gets back into her car, which is smart, right?
Yeah.
And then she hears a scratching sound coming from the back of the car. And she looks in the rearview mirror, which I think is smart because she doesn't turn around, right? She just uses her environment.
Right.
And she looks in the rearview mirror and I love how she uses the brake pedal to illuminate who's back there. And right away we see that there's a figure there and she starts to panic and she loses her cool. So, yeah, she tries to drive off and she's unsuccessful. And I don't know how far she plans to get with flat tires, like two blown tires. But someone ends up attacking from the driver's side, and it fades to black.
Yes.
So that's our opening kill.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any thoughts at this point, or
at this
anything?
Point, yes.
What was your thought, Ethan?
I thought, God, I hope this gets a little better, and I see somebody actually die.
Okay.
Just
sorry
because,
I asked.
Yeah.
Don't be sorry your ass. This is a damn podcast, and we go through movies. It was a little lackluster for me there.
I thought it was
and like the interesting.
Sorry, Jamie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the interesting thing for me too is like I totally forgot about the intro like quickly as we got into the movie until later. But you know, I like it like totally like disappeared from my mind, and then I was like, when I was looking at my notes, I was like, oh yeah, there was the whole scene in the beginning with
Yep. I did that both times I've watched this now, or 3 times I've watched this now. So I've done it every single time. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So time passes. We don't know how much time passes, but we see some young kids. They seem to all be minors, right? High school age.
Yeah.
High school or like freshly out of high school, about to go to college. And they are getting off a bus. They are arriving at Whistler Camp, and it is a gay conversion camp. And if you don't know what that means, that is where it is a real thing. Unfortunately, it is still happening. But that is, there's these camps because they can't technically operate fully out in the open. A lot of these places, they are like campgrounds or whatever. They have their own property, and people go here to try to become straight. Sometimes they're pressured to go by family members or friends. Sometimes they go of their own free will because they feel a lot of guilt around being gay or, lesbian, whatever it may be, trans. And they are there to quote unquote get better. So it's going to be an emotional ride. Hope you guys are ready. Trigger warnings now. And not long after this, I love the moment where all the campers are standing around with their luggage, staring at the staff, and no one's talking. Like they're just looking at each other like, all right.
Here we are.
Here we go. Yeah. Lots of judgments being made on both sides, of course. And then we have Kevin Bacon arrive. And chef's kiss, amazing monologue, right?
It is good. He's very like, he's kind of like it's like an I'm your buddy kind of like monologue that he's giving them, where it's like, I can't make you straight and I don't want to, he's really like selling it as like, I'm your buddy here.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's interesting because it's like, if you go into it already knowing about gay conversion camps, you're not trusting him fully. And the way he delivers it, of course, you're not fully trusting him anyways. But like the kids are like, like maybe this guy's not so bad. Like, cause they're like, interesting.
And that's how he presents himself. That's how he presents it too. He presents it as like, this is a safe space for everybody, like yes, we hope, that I think I don't remember if it was in this monologue or not, but he says, we hope you like adopt a, gender normative lifestyle,
Yeah.
but you have to take your own path and you have to make your own choices.
You have to live authentically for yourself, I believe, or live your truth, whatever.
Yeah. Something like that. So he's really presenting it in a way that like, hey, this is a safe space, where we're going to support you.
Yeah. Yes. And everyone's supposed to like be kind to each other and that kind of thing.
Respect is the only rule, or the number one rule
that they don't follow. Anyways, right away, all the kids are asked to hand over their electronics and their medicine, which is very important later. But I will say, like, if you've ever gone to camp, handing over the medicine is very common.
Yeah. It is. Mm-hmm.
Same with school. Like, you have to give it to the nurse. Like, you can't just have even Tylenol. Like, you can't just have it on you. So it makes sense. And also, what the fuck were they thinking? Excuse my language, but like, what were you thinking trying to bring laptops to a camp?
And there's no Wi-Fi anyway at this place,
no
which
Wi-Fi.
They let us know. So
supposedly, I think there is.
I think so too.
Yeah. So they take care of that, and then Kevin Bacon, his character is named Owen. I need to stop calling him Kevin Bacon.
I call him Kevin Bacon the whole time, so
it was interchangeable. Yeah. So Owen says, boys and girls cabins, and right away we've ostracized one of the campers because they identify as non-binary, which means they don't identify as male or female, and they go by they them pronouns. And Jordan asks, hey, like, do you happen to have an all gender cabin available? And Owen is like, no, unfortunately we don't yet, but clearly we need one. How would you feel about going to the boys' cabin for now? And if you still feel uncomfortable, let's talk after that. Yeah. Which is a very kind response.
I was going to say, he gives a very seemingly reasonable, like cooperative response to them.
Yeah. Very, very showcasing sincerity. Like I said, we're not quite sure if it's actual sincerity or if it's just a show right now.
Yeah. It adds to the whole kind of what's the deal with this place? Because so far Kevin Bacon, he seems like an okay guy. But
and we like Kevin Bacon, yeah.
We do, but the whole situation. So it's what's going to happen? Where's this going to go?
Yes. And so, Jordan is kind of taken aback by the tenderness there. And then they start off, after they get settled, they go right into group therapy. And they have this great discussion about, why each of them is there. And so you kind of get introduced to each of our main characters during this group session. And I just wanted to ask you guys, if there was a story that particularly stuck out with you guys, or you felt particularly moved by, because this is a very emotional scene. So
yeah, I will say in general, this whole scene did kind of took me up a little bit, just because I have a lot of friends who are, in the queer community. So I do know some of these kind of stories firsthand. And just honestly, they all kind of resonated with me, but Kim is the blonde girl, right? It kind of there's one point where she just says I just want to be loved. And that definitely hit, but all of them, because some of them obviously were there not because they wanted to be. Their parents made them, or they had their parents made some kind of deal with them, if you go for this week, we'll let you get, emancipate yourself, or whatever it is. So you get a mix of things. So everybody kind of hit me in the feels, but I thought Kim's I just want to be loved kind of summed it all up.
Yeah. Ethan, what about you? Was there anything that resonated with you?
They really all kind of resonated with me, because I mean, regardless if you're gay, straight, whatever, bi, trans, really, you just want to be loved. And I mean, and regardless of anybody's political stance, religious stance, whatever, that is what somebody wants, is they want to be loved, and everybody should be loved and accepted for who they are. I mean, that's that.
Yeah.
So, In particular, I can't think of what his name was, but he played one of the Menendez brothers, the jock.
Stu.
Stu,
Oh
thank you.
yeah, I love Stu.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't want to be this way. I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
And growing up in a religious household, I know a lot of my friends who were religious who were fighting with their sexuality or whatever, and they were like, I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
And I've been like, doesn't mean you're not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just because somebody doesn't accept what you are, if you're gay or whatever, and you might not even know, but that doesn't mean that you're not a normal person or that you're unworthy of love. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So
Exactly.
Absolutely.
regardless of anybody's, affiliation with their religion or political stance or whatever, don't be a dick to people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
there's that. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. And any parent that threatens to kick their kids out because of who they are, you're a piece of shit and you shouldn't be a parent.
All of the stories in and of itself did pull at the heartstrings, and I'm not saying that that actually was true, because being a parent, there's nothing that Joshua could ever do or say that would make me not love him. That would make me turn my back on him.
Right.
I mean, he could douse me in gasoline and set me on fire, and I'd be like, well, I love you as a burn. So, I mean, it is what it is. So,
Yeah. Yep.
And I agree with you. If you turn your back on your child,
you're a piece of shit. That's all I'm saying.
You're a scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I know people who were definitely not accepted by their parents when they came out. And it's pretty heartbreaking. Sometimes even people and you're like, wow, like really? Like wasn't expecting that.
My parents both turned their backs on me, and it wasn't because of sexual orientation, just because they're pieces of shit.
Right.
And nobody should have to feel like that. And it doesn't matter what they do.
Not
or who they are. So that's the end of that. I will say the story that really stuck with me was Jordan's, pretty much throughout the entire movie. Jordan is our main character. They get a lot of the brunt of the attention from Owen specifically. And Jordan's thing is they made a deal with their parents that if they come to this thing for a week, they can emancipate themselves. And Kevin Bacon is like, what will you do once you emancipate yourself? And Jordan's like, I will be myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's all they want. That's all they want.
And
and that's all anybody wants.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next day, it's still dark. Alexandra, she gets up before the other kids. Everybody else is still sleeping, and she goes to take a shower. Well, one of the counselors sneaks up on her, and we find out that Alexandra was born Alexander and is trans. And the counselors are upset because Alexandra didn't tell them that she was born a man, basically. And so they force her to go to the boys' cabin and refuse to call her by her name that she chose. So they automatically are like dead naming her and calling her by he, him pronouns or whatever, which is insulting enough, but they don't give Alexandra the choice that Jordan got, because Owen says, you weren't upfront with us honestly, and we could have avoided this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, their treatment of her is pretty cruel, like in the situation, because like, whatever, she didn't say it, but it's still like, it's pretty harsh, like punishment.
Well, I think the key thing to take away here, yeah, for sure. The key thing to take away here is the fact that a lot of the kids that come to these things, they have a lot of shame around their identities.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be upfront with complete strangers if you grew up in a very religious background, you're not going to be very trusting of other religious people, because all you've been exposed to are religious people that have judged you. So,
yeah.
And if you guys do research on body dysmorphia, like there's a lot of shame associated with parts you were born with versus the parts that you want. So, yeah, that's my spiel.
And for it being a camp where it's supposed to be a safe space for everybody, they could have handled that very, very differently, and like, yeah, been more supportive. Even if they were upset or whatever, it's still like, well, isn't your guys' purpose like to be helping everybody here? That's not very helpful.
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon's character says, like, dress appropriately to her, which means you can't wear any of the clothes that you brought with you. So,
yeah.
So I love what happens. Jordan shows up in Alexandra's dress, and Alexandra is dressed in Jordan's clothes. And I love the little exchange between Kevin Bacon and Jordan, where Owen's like, I don't think that's quite your color. And Jordan's like, I think it looks good on me.
I will say I love Jordan. Like, Jordan is very protective of everybody else in a lot of different ways, and it comes up throughout the movie. But yeah, just like immediately they kind of were like, let's get you some clothes, and then solidarity, wearing the dress. So yeah, Jordan is definitely like person of the people, like they're definitely there to like look after everybody.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
I admire Jordan's courage to stand up to people the way that they do throughout the movie, not just here, but like throughout the movie, particularly to a scene that's coming later. But yeah. So, yeah, I already spoke about that. So, Alexandra, we kind of get like a little montage of them having like craft time and outdoors time and all this crap. Team building exercises, whatever. And then Alexandra, she goes to look for her meds. Obviously, these are the hormones that she was been taking. But Molly finds her. She's one of the counselors, and Alexandra's like, she's like, please give me my meds. Molly's like, you can't have them. And Alexandra shares that her parents told her that if she didn't go to this camp, she would not be allowed to see her baby brother again. Yeah. And so Molly, she feels bad for her, and she gives her pills. And you have this really interesting exchange, I guess you'd say. And Alexandra asks Molly if she even believes in this place and what they're there to do. And Molly's like, I believe in healing. And Alex says, maybe you should believe in dignity.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And and this is where Molly definitely becomes interesting, because before we just kind of saw her with the group of counselors, she's the new counselor there, whatever, like the doctor, whatever.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, okay. So, she's kind of on their side, what's Molly's deal?
Right.
Does she know like what's going on here? This is a horror movie, or does she not? Anyway, so this is when like Molly kind of started to become a little bit more interesting.
For sure. Yeah, I think as the movie progresses, you get to know more of the staff and like what they're about. And it is very insightful what humanity can do. The next night, Zane, the athletic director, I think he is, he wakes up all the campers in the middle of the night, and they're blindfolded and led into the woods. They're handcuffed into pairs of two.
And can I say that Zane was a dick and I hated him?
Oh, I hate Zane.
Yeah.
He's probably my least favorite.
Yeah, I hated him.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
Zane and his wife Sarah suck ass. I hate them both.
Oh,
yeah.
They're horrible people. So, the writing and the acting, they really nailed it.
Yeah. They are probably my least favorite characters because they are the true monsters of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're handcuffed in pairs of two, and Kevin Bacon, I give up on calling him his character's name.
I call
Kevin
him
Bacon,
the whole time.
yeah. KB, he tells them to split up, and they're spending the night out in the woods together for team building. And it's basically just a charade because they want to search through their things to find contraband, right? And Alex and Jordan are paired together, and they see this hooded figure, and Jordan, like, right away is like, hey, who are you? Like, what are you doing? And the hooded figure, like, vanishes. So it's like, is the killer for the kids? Are they going after the staff? Like, who is this person? Like, what's their motive here? What's their agenda?
Is it one of the staff? Because we don't know exactly what this exercise is all about yet.
Exactly.
You know? Well, other than, like, you know, then we see them searching for the contraband, but it's like, oh, who is that person? Is it a staff member? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they could easily kill the kids. They're handcuffed to each other.
Sure.
You know? So.
Yeah. I did like the little bonding moments that we had here, though, between some of them. Like Alex and Jordan, obviously, like, they're a united front throughout, like, the majority of this. And then I think it was Toby and Stu were paired
Toby and
together.
Stu are so cute. They're like, it's going to get cuddly.
I know. And I like their bond that they form, because they're very kind of like different people, but I thought it was really cute, like the bond. And then, of course, we have Kim and Veronica, I think is her name.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we have them, and you definitely start to see there's like a little bit of something, like there's a little connection there that they're starting to feel out just a tiny bit.
For sure. Yeah. I think the very interesting dynamics. And I really enjoyed the Stu and Toby interactions throughout the movie. I thought that was really cute.
Sweet.
It was really sweet. Yeah. I like Toby a lot.
Oh, Toby's so fun. Yeah, Toby's great.
He's adorable.
Yeah, and his reason for going was because, like, his parents said he could go to a musical that he wanted to see, and I'm like, Toby, you're the best.
I will say I've seen that musical. It's worth it.
Which one was it? I couldn't remember which musical.
Moulin Rouge.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah, that's
yeah, the stuff. French accent and everything. I can't do that, but I've seen the movie and I've seen the play, and the play is so much better. So well worth it. I went to see it for my birthday this year. So
awesome.
Yeah. So Cora and Sarah, the counselors, they're going through the things, and Cora discovers Jordan's Bible. And I thought this was really an interesting moment because Jordan's drawn some beautiful artwork in the Bible for certain passages that speak to them. And it's a very interesting moment. And you also see like a family picture of them together where Jordan was very young. And you really get a sense of like Jordan's identity, like how it was growing up. Very much a strict upbringing because everybody in their family is dressed in military gear. Yeah. So very clear-cut gender roles, right? For this house.
Definitely.
So it's the next day, and we've got individual therapy sessions now, which should be fun. This is disgusting.
Oh, this woman is horrible too. Cora, she is awful.
Yeah. Cora is Kevin Bacon's wife in this movie, and she basically tells Jordan that Jordan chose to be non-binary as a way to get attention from their family, and that deep down they're just an ugly dyke. That's their words, not mine. And basically just gaslights Jordan, and tells them like, this is just a facade. Like, you can stop pretending now, you can be yourself.
Yeah. Like, you're fake and you're never going to be enough. Like,
yeah.
Basically, you're nothing, you know.
Yeah, you're less than.
Even took that picture, you know, and tried, and she tried to do this like whole like, well, you know, I grew up in a Navy family or whatever, and yeah, if I was part of your generation, I probably would have chosen to be a boy too.
Yeah,
so it's just like really like all of it's very like just horrible stuff and manipulative and disrespectful. Like that's not good therapy. Practices there. I'd like to see her certifications.
Yeah. I had in my notes, this is not therapy. It's not even bad therapy. It's just not therapy at all.
It's not.
And all of it is said with a smile, which makes it all the worse. it's disgusting. Like, if Cora is licensed, she should lose her certification. Like, period.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're minors. I don't care if they're adults. You don't say this to your patients, period. The whole point of therapy is to have a non-judgmental space to be able to talk about feelings and thoughts and things like that. And not a safe space at all.
Nah,
So.
it should be giving you tools, to help you in your life. And that didn't give any tools to help them in their life.
Not at all. It's just very condescending.
Yeah, she was a twat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that scene was kind of intense just because,
Yeah,
the way it was shot even too, like, she was scary in that moment to me. Definitely scary
There
in
was
that moment.
very scary. I noticed something that I didn't notice the last time was she was like smiling at the end, and she was like, okay, session's over, you can go now. And she was smiling, and like she held that smile until she left.
Yep.
Like it was just plastered,
Yeah.
not blinking, just held it. Like it was a fucking Stepford wife smile till Jordan left. And I was like, that is terrifying. Like, ugh. Like picture perfect Stepford wife right here in this chair giving therapy. Yeah. So cut to later in the day. Yeah. Jordan's obviously very upset by all of that. And they're in their bed just crying while everybody else is just hanging out and chilling. And Alex and them have a very deep, meaningful conversation about being their authentic self. And I love this moment so much.
Oh, it was, again, like the solidarity between them. Like, I really like their bond and their relationship, and just, the way that Alex kind of supported Jordan in that moment, the realness of it. Yeah, it was definitely like a cool moment.
Yeah. Ethan, did you have any thoughts about that?
No, I enjoyed the way that they were, there to support each other as well. I mean, because everybody needs somebody.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it was good that they found each other in, that situation. And I don't know how she didn't haul off and punch her in the fucking head while she was doing that.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
No.
She's like, you can leave now. When she got up, she should have kicked her in the teeth. But
well, I will say I think it takes a particular amount of strength that you don't realize you have to not do that. But also, like, as somebody, I'm not going to get too personal, but like as somebody who has had someone accuse them of faking things or lying or manipulating a situation. I think a lot of people, when they're accused of that kind of thing or gaslit or whatever, I think they're just in shock because they can't believe that that's being said to them.
Yeah.
You know what? You're absolutely right. As you were talking, I was thinking about something in my life, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think we've
all. I would not. I did not react that way. Afterwards, I was like, I should have punched that son of a bitch right in the face.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
When it was happening, I was like, is this real life?
Exactly.
I can't believe
Twilight
this is
Zone.
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm glad we talked that through, because it's like, like. So as you're watching it happen to someone else, you're like,
right,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so let me take that back. I probably would not have, because when it happened to me, not about any sexuality or anything, but when it happened to me, I was like, did this really just happen? Did you really just say?
And that's
it was supposed to be somebody who loved me.
It almost
how about that? That was like,
it's like that's where the gaslighting comes in, because you start to question yourself. So, and it's powerful mental tool.
It is powerful.
And then I just had.
Now I want to go punch people. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, right?
We need to get you a punching bag.
Right?
Put this bitch's face on there.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll get the punching bag, and then there's a few faces I'd like to put around there. Not just one.
Pepper them in strategic places.
Yeah.
I got some that you can add to your punching bag collage.
Right?
Yes.
Same, but we won't mention names.
No.
And then we have what I had to put in my notes, we have a pink bonding session because it wouldn't be a
Yes.
queer movie without a musical number. And I say that with love.
Oh yeah, dancing and singing. There's like a little rap bit in there almost, which was cool. Like everybody got involved. Stu got involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Stu
I
slid
did
on there
like that.
on his
I was
knees.
gonna
Yeah.
say, yeah, Stu had the slide, you know?
I loved
That's
it
like
when
the
Stu,
cherry on top right there.
yeah, when Stu is like looking disgusted at first, and then he's like getting into it and dancing and stuff with Alex and Toby. Like,
Yes.
yeah, it was a lot of fun to see them like cut loose and have a little fun moment to decompress after all the emotional stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, and then you get like a quick shot of KB, of Kevin Bacon, and he is not a fan
He's
of the musical
pissed.
number. And then you, so as the audience, we're like, what's up with Kevin Bacon? Do we trust him? Do we not trust him? Is he the killer? What's going to happen?
And you would
We're
think
like, we
he
don't
would be
trust
okay.
him.
You think he'd be okay with a musical number? I mean,
Yeah,
Footloose. So
I know.
I was like, I'm like,
That's why
You
he's
did- you
upset.
Joined on
you
in.
did this once, KB. Come on.
That's
Yeah.
why he's upset they didn't get him to come in.
Right?
And Kevin Bacon
He's
can
like, that
sing,
should have been
so-
my slide. That should have been
Right?
my moment.
Yeah. Like I've done
Didn't
that
he do that in
before.
Footloose?
He didn't
Yeah.
sing. He did do
No,
that.
but
in Footloose.
dancing, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did almost all of his own dancing other than like the gymnastic stunts in Footloose.
Okay.
That was like the only time he had a double, I think. Anyways, I love Footloose.
This is not about
This is not
Footloose,
a
but go
dance
ahead.
podcast.
This
Yeah.
is not. No.
Anyways, yeah. So Kevin Bacon's watching, not happy. At this point, did you guys have any suspicions on who's the killer?
No.
Oh, I did not. Actually, at this point, I was like,
Mm-mm.
because like, pacing wise, again, I had already kind of forgot about that first scene. So that was really out of my mind, like totally out of my mind. I just like blacked it out of my mind somehow. But
Yeah.
so yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of it yet. So like I had no idea. And again, I didn't know if it was going to be more, I was leaning towards it more being somebody after the kids, like the campers.
Right.
That was what
Same.
that's what I thought was going to be happening in this movie.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was assuming it was a staff member,
Right.
but I didn't know
Interesting.
who.
Okay. I really wanted it to be Kevin Bacon. I really did. But I was like, it's too obvious.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be him because it was.
I didn't think it was going to be him, but
Too
I wanted
obvious.
it to be. I wanted it to be. Just because I like to see him play villains. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
So later that night, Jordan goes snooping and they find photos of former campers that had been brutally tortured and maimed.
Yeah, mutilated.
Yeah. And Molly ends up catching them and Jordan confronts her and they are demanding that Molly protect the campers. Like, you need to protect us. Like, you are staff. That is what you're here to do. Protect us. And Molly tells them to be careful. He doesn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Ah,
yeah, we
that's
kind
not
of,
good.
yeah, like we kind of had a hint that Kevin Bacon doesn't like Jordan, but like when we now have confirmation. And I love that Jordan just is like, he has no idea who he's hunting now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
great.
Jordan's a little badass.
Like I said, Jordan throughout this entire movie has so much courage and like so brave. I aspire to be like Jordan more.
And again, just like their kindness to the other campers, that's like the thing I like most about Jordan. Cause like, like Jordan just helps out everybody when he can, even though that
Yeah.
kind of makes him a target in a lot of ways because it sets him apart. He's kind of like, they're kind of like the natural leader of the campers
Sure.
almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just want to like help out their fellow campers. So, I mean, even
For
in the
sure.
little obstacle course, helped the other camper like get
While
up
Stu like leaves them behind. Yeah.
yeah. And the athletic director guy hates that,
Yeah, for sure. Balthazar.
I was going to say Balthazar. We didn't even mention the groundkeeper named Balthazar, and they made it all casual. Like, oh yeah, that's our groundkeeper.
This is Balthazar.
Balthy.
Balthazar, the creepy guy. I really wanted him to be like crazy Ralph or something, but he was not. He's
No.
crazy, but for a different reason.
He's
No
no
one
crazy
can
Ralph,
ever beat
that's for
Crazy
sure.
Ralph.
No one can beat Crazy Ralph.
That's right. It's got
Yes.
that curse.
Yeah. Well, we needed a Crazy Ralph in this movie.
Yeah.
Balthazar kind of.
Yes. I just watched that yesterday.
If Crazy Ralph would have been in there, it would have been a little better.
It would have been. I'm not gonna lie, it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
We needed a Crazy Ralph figure.
Crazy Ralph makes everything better.
Yeah.
Always.
But anyways, Balthazar
Yeah.
he's watching the showers. I assume these are the showers in the camp.
I couldn't quite tell, but looked
I couldn't
like
tell.
It,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but
it's
I assumed that that's what was happening. Anyways, the killer ends up appears behind Balthazar and smashes Balthazar's head into the computer.
Yeah. Which that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I wish we could have had more gore though.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to thank all of you guys for listening and supporting the podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us, like us, leave us a review. Little things like this can really help the podcast out so much. Also, if you want to hear your name mentioned in our episodes at the beginning and receive fun little goodies from the entire Bloody Essentials team, you can join our Patreon. It's 100% like no commitment. All the proceeds go back into the podcast. It helps us upgrade our recording equipment, our editing software, all those good things. And it also helps pay for our travel expenses with our upcoming appearances. So that can add up really fast, but we're looking to hopefully expand to other conventions and, going to other states to see spooky attractions. So funds like that will help significantly. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but before we can actually start receiving funds through YouTube and things like that, as horror creators, we need at least 500 followers on YouTube. So if you aren't already following us, but you listen to us and you really like our content, please like us, subscribe. It really helps out so much and it allows us to keep doing what we're doing. So we love bringing horror to you each week, whether it's content creators, our thoughts on a film. So we really want to keep doing this for as long as possible. And money is unfortunately a big way to stay on top of that. So like I said, all of your support really means a lot, and you get fun little goodies from all of us. We got Bloody Essentials merch, we got horror goodies that we've been saving for you guys, whether it's stickers, horror collectibles, I'm talking shirts from your favorite horror companies, Fright Rags, all those good places. And then of course we've got some NECA figures and all those kinds of things. So if you want to receive fun horror goodies from your Bloody Essentials crew, join our Patreon. It's going to be a really good time. We also have a Discord channel and unedited episodes before they air. So that's always exciting. And we're hoping to be doing movie parties really soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll get back to the show now. Unfortunately, we had technical issues, which led to only two of us being here halfway through. Ethan is unfortunately not able to finish out the episode with us, but that's okay because I still have his review, so we'll be sure to share that with you when we get to that section. Sorry for the confusion and technical difficulties, but hey, we're rolling with the punches.
Hey, and it's kind of fun, right? We're keeping you guys on your toes, We're in different outfits. Things
different
are different
places.
Yeah.
So
had to throw a little fun in there for you.
That's right. So last time we met, Balthazar had just gotten his face smashed into his computer while watching porn. So there's that.
That's right. We were talking about the confusing porn that he was watching, where we're like, is it the campers? Is it not the campers? It looks like some people standing in a weird shower situation.
It looks like they filmed it before they had cast the rest of the actors because their bodies don't match up.
Not at
all. So it's the next day, and right away, the campers are divided into boys and girls, once again, going off of that very fine binary line, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Gabriel, one of the boys, he mentions that the counselor's dog is clearly sick, like he's gonna die soon type thing.
Poor Duke. I love bloodhounds too. I just have to say it. I love me a bloodhound.
They're so adorable.
I know.
Yeah, and Gabriel doesn't know how right they are.
Yeah.
This scene. But yeah, we've got the men going hunting with Zane, and the women are baking with Zane's wife or Zane's fiance Sarah. So
Yeah, because gender norms are comfy, and baking pies can be fun.
yeah, that's one word for it. It could have been fun. Yeah, so they're reinforcing those strict gender roles, and I like how they are like science and history of like, you know, they show us that this is just like men are just built stronger, and that's just how biology has it, and there's no like protesting this, that's just how it is. And it's like, it's interesting that science and history are only convenient or only useful when it suits your point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, so we've got some weird stuff going on with Sarah. She's clearly coming on to one of the counselors who is definitely underage.
Yeah, it's Kim is her name, I think, right? She's the
Mhm.
blonde girl. I really
Yeah.
love her, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I feel her story a lot. But yeah, the counselor is being super creepy, super inappropriate. Like the other girl, Victoria,
Yeah.
Veronica.
Veronica.
You know, she's picking up on it too and being like, "This isn't cool." Like, she's trying to kind of like back her up and stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
very inappropriate, very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And during all of this, while the campers are doing their thing, we see Molly, one of the head nurse, and she goes into the shed, and she finds out that one of the doors on the inside has a padlock on it, and she wants to investigate further, but before she can, Owen's wife, Cora, catches her. And she's like, "Are you on our side?" Like,
yeah, I think she says something like, are you with the program? You're with the program, right?"
yeah.
She's like, the program. Ooh.
Right? How ominous sounding.
Yeah, Cora is so creepy too. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Very Stepford Wives / like Get Out kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Back with the boys, Zane is antagonizing Jordan, basically like implying that Jordan isn't man enough to like do masculine type things, and challenges them to a shooting contest in which, like, you know, they clearly can handle their own. They ended up shooting better than Zane. Yeah.
Oh, Jordan kicked his ass. Like, he totally did. Like, Jordan kicked his ass. They are like fantastic shot, you know, have a history with shooting. I think what did Jordan say? He says something like you know, best marksman or best marks person for 3 years running.
Yeah. Should I say Mark's person? Yeah. I
Yes.
love that. It's so
I did
much.
too.
Yeah. And it's like, what did you expect? Jordan grew up in a military family. Like, of course they taught him how to shoot.
Yeah, and Jordan also says, you know, yeah, you know, I've shot once or twice between drag shows.
I love
like,
it.
Jordan is so badass. Like, what a great character. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Jordan is awesome.
we love our Jordan, yeah.
Yes.
And Owen basically has one of like another great monologue from Kevin Bacon, but he basically is explaining that Duke the dog is going to die soon. He's been diagnosed with cancer. He doesn't have much longer, and he's in a lot of pain. So we've got to find our killer here today, basically, and someone's got to put down the dog. And like, as soon as we have this, I'm like, no, I hate this so much.
I know. I was like, oh no, it was foreshadowing when he mentioned earlier that the dog looked sick and, you know, it probably needed to be put down kind of thing. And I'm like, oh no, like that.
Yeah.
Here we go. No, not Duke.
I didn't expect it so soon after that was mentioned, but as soon as it was
Same.
mentioned, I was like, oh, geez, here we go. Yeah.
I know. I was like, I'm pretty sure the dog is going to die in this movie, unfortunately. Yeah. That's why they showed us how sweet and old and cute he is.
I know. Yeah. And basically Owen calls Toby out, who is very feminine, gay man. And Toby's like, no, like I'm not doing any of this. This is ridiculous. This is not okay. And Owen basically says, if you continue to refuse, Zane is going to use a sledgehammer and start with one leg, then the next, then the next, and then the next. And then he's going to use the sledgehammer on the dog's head. And it's like, why? Just to prove a point? Like, really?
If we didn't already know that this camp and these people here were not good, we definitely know it now, because anybody who can hurt an innocent, like, a young person or a dog, just to prove a point, they're not real great people.
Yeah. In case.
So if we didn't know that already, well, there you go.
Exactly. And like, how cruel of a way to, and this is their dog too. Like, it's not just a random dog, it's their dog.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Baffling. Meanwhile, back with the ladies, Sarah is inspecting the pies and asks Kim to stay back so she can try her pie.
Yeah.
And Kim is like automatically uncomfortable, and good for her, she gets out of there. Like, I mean, she was backed up against like a wall, but like she was able to get out, so good for her.
Yeah, I mean, I was uncomfortable for her. The counselor is like basically like feeding her pie almost. Like it's very
so weird,
very sexual. It's very weird. Kim definitely feels uncomfortable in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, and even though Sarah's not very big or much stronger than Kim, like she's an authority figure. And so, especially younger people underage, like they're inclined to listen to these authority figures, regardless of whether they agree with them or they know the situation is wrong. Like, so it's good on Kim for getting out of there, because some people don't get out of those situations.
Yeah, total abuse of power, for sure.
For sure. And back with the boys, because we're building some suspense, Owen continues to antagonize Toby until like Toby is sobbing, and then all of a sudden we hear a gunshot and we find out that Jordan ends up killing Duke. And Jordan's a great shot, so he didn't miss, and Duke is passed on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah. Again, Jordan is like hero of this movie. They kind of took care of Toby in that moment. Mm-hmm. They kind of took care of the rest of the group of boys who were in the situation. And they also took care of Duke, because, the best outcome for this dog, sadly, which is a living creature, was going to be like the least painful route possible. And that's what Jordan gave him. So Jordan really protected everybody once again.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, I love how everybody is comforting Toby and Jordan in this moment. And, Jordan, I love the part where you're lingering a little bit, because Jordan doesn't lower their gun right away. They're still pointing it actually at Owen, and then finally points the gun into the air and empties the gun before throwing it to the ground and just leaving.
Yeah.
An important safety firearm there, because he emptied the gun and then threw it on the ground, which is what you should do.
Don't just throw guns around in general, but especially if you're not sure if they're loaded.
Yes, absolutely. And Jordan
use
knows
gun
that.
Safety in general, everybody.
It's always nice to see young people knowing their gun safety. I'm just going to say
yes.
Sometimes they know it better than adults. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, totally.
And then Veronica catches up with Kim after all the incidents with Sarah, and they're at the pier, and Kim tells Veronica, what happened, and, Kim is just so desperate for the therapy to work, but she admits, it's not working the way I'd hoped. So, which is really heartbreaking.
And I just have to say, I love this scene so much, because it is so heartbreaking to hear what she has to say. But what Veronica has to say to her is so beautiful, because she's like, as strong and smart as you are, you're more than people want you to be.
Yeah.
Like, be who you are. And then Veronica says, like, I don't want to be cured.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet. And then we get like a cute little Jason reference too, because Kim says, I keep expecting Jason to pop up. And then yay, they kiss. I was rooting for them the whole movie. Just have to say, they get together and I was waiting for it because they have a really cute relationship that builds up, and I was rooting for it the whole time.
They have a really cute vibe that they have going on, like completely different backgrounds, but just very adorable. And like Kim's very innocent, and a little naive on how humans work.
Totally.
But Veronica's not like, oh, you need to like wake up and stuff. No, she's allowing her room to make her own mistakes and everything, which I think is really important. And it's just a really cute dynamic.
Yes, and they totally see each other for who they are and like each other for who they are. Because there's even a comment at some point that Kim makes about, you know, how I would be scared to talk to you kind of thing. So, you know, they recognize that they're very different, but they also like are drawn to the differences in each other and just are like super supportive and loving of that person, like for who they are. So yeah, I stand them. I was rooting for that moment the whole, like the minute that they got kind of paired up. I was like, oh, they're cute.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the underdog kind of couple, I think, in this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Toby, Alex, and Jordan, they're plotting after they're done with their hunting, and they basically are like, we're leaving, and basically first thing in the morning, we are going to give the others a chance to go with us. If they want to go, great. Otherwise, we're not going to force them, but basically just lay low for the night.
Yep. They're hatching their plan because they're leaders. Got Jordan and Alex, you know, they're the team. Yeah. They're going to make this happen. But again, not forcing anybody, but
exactly. Yeah.
Consent, you know, this is a choice.
Always, yeah. Meanwhile, we've got another romance blossoming, I guess, if you want to call it that, or is it lust? Yeah. Out of the woodwork, Gabriel suddenly is like, oh, I like you, to Stu, and they get it on.
They do. Now, don't get me wrong. You see Stu in the water. I mean, you might have feelings pretty quickly. It did kind of come out of nowhere, but I was like, okay, you know, hey.
Yeah. You're lonely at camp, and it's not the, you know, friendliest environment. Stu's kind of like put himself on like he's put walls up around around himself, and so Toby's not had much luck getting over those walls just yet, and Gabriel's just there, I guess. So
yeah. And I have to say, I do like Stu because I feel like he's one of the characters in this that's really struggling with his sexuality. Like he's one of the people who really doesn't want to be gay in a lot of ways because he's an athlete. He says he just wants to play sports and be normal. So he's one of the characters in this movie who's like struggling, I think, the most with his identity.
Yeah, I think he's a very relatable character for gay men. And he's surrounded by a lot of temptation. So I think that's why he's just like, I just want to be normal because like this is becoming a problem. Like it's affecting my performance out on the field with sports or whatever. So like it needs to stop. And this is the only way I know how to get it to stop, basically.
Yeah.
Which is just heartbreaking, honestly. Like your teammates are supposed to be there to support you, and it's really crappy that you can't share like this part of yourself with them and trust that they will respect you. So, but unfortunately, it's an all too common thing.
Oh, yeah. I know people who were in a very similar situation.
Yeah. So Gabriel and Stu, they end up doing it in the shed where Molly was earlier, and she found that padlocked door. And Stu ends up falling asleep, but when he wakes up, Gabriel is dressed and staring at him and just very creepy.
Oh, yeah. He was he was like kind of odd throughout the movie, but I didn't take that as creepy per se before. I was like, oh, he's just a weirdo. Like, that's just part of who he is, and that's fine. You know, we're all just who we are. But yeah, then this is the point when he's sitting there where you're like, oh, something's off.
Yeah, something's wrong here.
Something's amiss here.
Yeah. And we learn that, unfortunately for Stu, Gabriel is working with the counselors and has been the whole time.
It was a trap. He is the forbidden fruit.
Yes, that's what they call him. And Owen and Zane show up and they take him to the padlocked room. And it turns out this is where they do aversion therapy, which is where they basically they use negative reinforcement basically to steer you away from behaviors they deem unacceptable.
Yeah, so it's like a big boost of like electroshock when you see hunky guys, and when there's women on the screen in bikinis, the
It's
electro
relief,
stop.
yeah.
It stops.
So you associate the no
Pain.
pain. You associate pain with attraction to men, and then you associate relief to women. Yeah.
Which is different than pleasure. I'll put that out there too. It's just relief. And it's like, is that really like healthy? You know, like, come on. That's not even a healthy thing to try to swap somebody's mindset to. It's all based on guilt and fear and pain and punishment.
This type of, let's call it therapy, to be generous, it doesn't work. It's been around since like the medieval times, and I'm pretty sure even before then. But it's been scientifically proven that it doesn't work. It's not effective in the long term. And the fact that they're still trying to use it as a method of curing people is insane. But like,
Barbaric.
it's
how?
completely barbaric. Yeah.
Yeah. How? It's like, how is this allowed? Like, we learned a long time ago that that kind of treatment like isn't effective and does more damage than good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they basically just handcuff him to the chair and they gag him while they're electrocuting him. And yeah, it's ridiculous. And you can tell that the counselors are getting off on it.
Oh yeah, and there's one point too, because they're saying stuff to him, and they say, "Don't you want to be normal?" And he said, and they say something, and he says, "I don't have a condition. I'm gay."
Yeah, he finally admits to himself and is able to admit it to other people that there's nothing wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how
gay.
he is. Yeah, I'm just gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and good for him. And it's sad that it took him this long to realize that, but
yeah.
Some time passes and we see Owen and Zane. They're carrying Stu, and they bring him to Molly, and Molly's pissed, to say the least, and she's like telling them that Stu needs to go to the hospital, and Owen basically says, like, you will stabilize him and then you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't stay.
Yeah.
And he's just threatening her because she's been here this whole time, all this stuff is going on, and he's a very prominent member of the community and no one's gonna believe her and all this stuff. So
he's like, I'm on the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. You're abusing children.
Who are they gonna listen to or care about? A bunch of gay kids or me, a pillar of the community?
Yeah, which unfortunately it's all too common that they go with Owen.
Yep.
Historically speaking, outside of the
yeah.
movie. So we get some insight into who some of these counselors are, and we see Sarah and Zane, two of the counselors. They're in bed. Keep in mind they're engaged to each other, and they're looking through the kids' phones trying to find appealing pictures of the campers so that they can look at these while they have sex with each other.
Yeah. So again, use of power. Obviously, you send people to any kind of therapy or camp, and they're supposed to be like taken care of, looked after. Obviously, this is not that kind of camp, but yeah, pretty sick.
But we have a really cool kill that is very Friday the 13th reminiscent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah and Zane get it at the same time.
Yeah, always love that. So
big fan.
Yes.
A twofer.
Yeah, I love a twofer.
Although I wish that there had been more torment and torture for them, because they are really two of the worst, in my opinion, in this film.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll put it out there right now. I do think that in general, most of our bad guys, the camp people, should have gotten it worse, just because they were awful people.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then Gabriel, for some reason, is in the lake, just chilling on an inflatable. Like, I feel like I mean, is your cover blown at this point, or are you still trying to fit in? Like,
Yeah, I don't even know. I feel like I don't. He almost seems like he feels good about his role in this too. Like, so I don't know. I don't know if he's just having a hedonistic moment of like, just chilling on the lake after really screwing somebody over and like tricking them, and then they got tortured for it. Basically, like he seems like he reveled in it a little bit.
yeah, I think Gabriel is probably the most fascinating of the characters because it's interesting because he is allowed to have sex with the campers. He is still allowed to have gay sex, right? And not really have any consequences for it. And basically it's rewarded by the counselors. So it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and like I was definitely curious like how that came to be exactly, you know what I mean? Because it is such a different arrangement than anybody else is getting. It's kind of opposite to because we know that some of the other counselors were former campers themselves. Like Zach was, and Zach actually had to that is his name, Zach Zane.
Zane.
And Zane had to do the electroshock like aversion therapy as well. And like they even said he was like a tough case that needed like give him the extra shocky therapy.
Yeah, and it didn't work because he's jacking off to other kids on their phones. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, so very different dynamic with Gabriel. And I was wondering, I was curious about how that all came to be, how he got kind of wrapped into like what happened that led him to being a tool of this camp.
It's very interesting. I would almost enjoy a prequel just because I think it would be interesting, but I don't want it in a similar vein to this. And I'll wait and get into that more in my rating.
Okay.
So, but yeah, our killer, he knocks Gabriel out because, I skipped something. Gabriel, he's in the lake, and all of a sudden his hand grazes the body of Balthazar, who's floating beside him, which was so fun.
That was fun.
And
I love a floating body reveal.
I know, right? Any body reveal is great, but it's just clever because the killer does so much with the bodies. Moving him to lakes, moving him back and forth to different buildings, and so the killer knocks Gabriel out, and then when he comes to, he's in the aversion therapy room, and basically just electrocutes him till he dies, regardless of what picture pops up.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that Gabriel's death is probably one of it's not a super gory movie. We'll get into it, but I think his death was a little bit more prolonged than other people's deaths.
I think it's because, it's a very special set of circumstances, and he's basically turning on his own people. He's not an ally for the community at all. And it's almost worse because of that. Like, he knows what he's doing is wrong, and he doesn't care. He's just there to reap the rewards and, sacrifice whoever at whatever cost. Yeah. So
I definitely think that's why his kill was prolonged too, because he is like the traitor in the group who kind of like gained their trust and was like, he was like in it with them, but he wasn't.
Exactly. Veronica and Kim, they're sneaking into the cafeteria, and they stumble across Zane, Sarah, Balthazar, and Gabriel, dead bodies just sitting at the tables and just like staring, which I thought was so fun because it's like, how much time has passed? Like, how much effort did this killer go to just to stage these bodies for somebody to stumble across, hoping it was a counselor, not like a camper?
Yeah.
So,
that part of the plan didn't work out. It was campers, but they did set up quite an elaborate little scene there.
They sure did. Yeah. And then the power goes out, which is awesome.
Yes.
And then all the all the campers are convening out front of the main building, and Molly just takes the lead, and she's like, kids, go back to your cabins, get something warm, get some warm clothes, and we're leaving, basically.
We're getting out of here.
Yep. And we're all going to meet back here, and Owen is convinced that one of these kids is responsible for these deaths. He's like, we're not going anywhere. These kids are killing us off. You are blind if you don't realize it. And Molly's just like, yeah, whatever, dude. I'm doing what I want.
Yeah, she's like, I'm taking over this now, okay?
Yeah. So Owen, he tells Cora, like, hey, go grab some rifles for us and meet me back here, basically. And Cora tries to do that, but unfortunately she's struck down next.
Yes. I wish we would have got to see more of that too, because I hated her, but
Oh, she was awful. She definitely, yeah, another thing we'll get into. And then meanwhile, Alex, it's decided that Alex is going to lead the campers to the road, get them out of there, because Jordan, Kim, Veronica, and Toby, they all decide they're going to stay back and basically finish this. Like, see what's going on, get to the bottom of what's going on, and yeah. So Alex is given the responsibility of keeping everybody else safe and taking them to find help.
yeah. Which is like, Alex is awesome too. So I love Alex is just like, all right, come on, we're walking, and like is gonna lead this whole group of people like through the woods.
I love Alex because they're like, are you sure you can handle this? And Alex is like, I'm a Black trans woman. I could do this blindfolded in heels. Like, yes.
Yeah. This is nothing.
This is nothing. Yeah. So Veronica and Kim, they go to the infirmary to check on Stu. And I think Toby's there as well. Yeah.
Yes, Toby holds Stu's hand, and it's really sweet because I think Stu kind of like holds his hand back and smiles like a little bit, even though he's like not in good shape.
Yeah, he's still kind of in and out. So yeah, he's definitely not going anywhere tonight.
No.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jordan goes to get the rifles for them, and Molly is going to get the generator running to get the power back on. So they have a plan, except they split up.
Guys, come on. You can't split up here. This is the situation where you're supposed to stay together, y'all.
Exactly. Owen comes up where Jordan is, and Jordan quickly, thinking on their feet very fast, hides in the closet and discovers Cora's dead body, which is quite fun. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we see Owen attacked by the killer, and then we get the big reveal where the killer takes their mask off, and the killer is Molly.
Or wait.
Or
it's Molly, but
yes. So it turns out that Molly is not Molly.
Yes.
Her actual name is Angie Phelps, and she used to be a former camper at this conversion camp therapy. And it turns out the woman at the beginning of the movie was the real Molly, which Angie killed to basically have a way into the camp.
Yeah, to take her identity so that she could get into the camp. And then I'm just like, oh, that's right, the scene in the beginning. Which I totally forgot about. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's what that was for.
It also speaks volumes to the fact that they've never had a face-to-face encounter with somebody they just hired as their staff.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing too. It's like, how did they not know? And they were just like talked on the phone for a little bit and said,
yeah,
you sound good.
Yeah.
You
sound like you're part of the program. Yeah. So funny. So Angie basically explains that she went through aversion therapy, and unfortunately it led to numerous suicide attempts later in her life. And basically the motive is she didn't want anyone to send their kids to places like this, and everyone like Owen will rot in hell right alongside her if she's going to hell, basically.
Yeah, and I like, she says, like, that they put her in the chair and burned all of the good out of her, and she said, you hollow children out.
I think that's an accurate description for what these camps do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Owen is just, he's done listening and he tries to attack Angie, and then Jordan literally comes out of the closet, which is great, and demands that Owen get off Angie and stop what he's doing. And yes, hang on, notes, papers are flying. And Owen tries to reason with Jordan, while Angie is also doing the same. And basically, Angie's like, you need to kill him, like, end it, like, he's responsible for all your pain and suffering, and once he's gone, like, it's all better. And you have this moment where you really think Jordan's going to listen to Angie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of my favorite moments of the movie. And Jordan says, I don't have to do this. I'm strong enough to not need to do this. And then Angie is just like completely like full of blind rage, and she just attacks Owen. She clearly like can't let go of the past and shoves him through a taxidermy rhino horn, which is so cool, and then just slashes his throat.
Okay, I gotta say, like, I'm kind of a sucker for a kill like that. Like, you don't get those very often. Occasionally you get like a taxidermied animal, like stabbing death, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So I love the rhino impalement. That is awesome.
It's a lot of fun when those deaths happen.
Yes, it's a treat.
And then Angie and Jordan are like having a conversation, and Angie like reveals her ultimate goal, which is to wipe out all of the counselors at these types of camps. And just, if you wipe the counselors out, the camps will go away. And it's like, obviously that's not going to happen. Like, there's always going to be people, unfortunately, full of hate that want to do this, that are going to do it whether you like it or not. And Jordan doesn't want to live like that. They don't want to hold on to the hate or pain or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and I think that, again, Jordan is amazing and so strong and so brave. And Jordan's just like, I'm going to go find my friends now, and we're not going to look back. We don't need to be saved. No one's going to tell us who we are ever again.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And basically, like, Angie gets arrested. When the cops arrive, Stu is taken to the hospital, so he's alive. He's going to be okay. And I love that Stu speaks up when the cops are like, no, Toby can't come. He's not family. And Stu's like, yes, he is.
I know. I was like, I love them.
Yeah, I love them. They're my favorite couple in this movie.
They're so cute. Yeah.
And Kim has a conversation with the rest of the remaining campers, and she's going to tell her parents with Veronica's help, which is really sweet.
I know, and it's like, yay.
Yeah. And Jordan says that they are going to follow through on getting emancipated, and we can tell that Jordan feels relief and at peace with who they are. So that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. And it kind of ends on this, you live your best life, because it's like, what are you going to do next? And it's like, I'm going to live my best life. And it's like,
yeah,
live your best life.
I like how it ends on a positive note, and I think it would have been so easy for Jordan to give in and kill Owen, but I'm really glad that they didn't. I think that speaks a lot on what it really means to be proud and what it means to truly be authentically yourself. And I think that hopefully it sends a message to people who are like Owen, or people that have preconceived notions on what it means to be gay and what it means to be proud. And I think a lot of people are like these kids in this movie, where they are just trying to find a place in the world. So.
Absolutely. Aren't we all?
Yeah. And we just want to be loved, like Kim said.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Let's get into some fun facts, shall we?
Yeah. So there weren't all that many, but I did scrounge some up together. Okay. So the movie is pronounced they/them. So not just they, them. If you were wondering, that slash is something you read out loud. Okay. um, we all know this. This is fun, of course, but this is Kevin Bacon's second summer camp slasher. We kind of know the first one, and they even throw a nice little Jason reference or two in the movie. So that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of taglines, so I jotted this one down. Fear does not discriminate. That's a good
Ooh.
tagline.
That's a great tagline.
That's a good tagline. I was like, ooh, okay, that was fun to write. This was John Logan's directorial debut, although he is not a stranger to filmmaking. He has been Oscar nominated several times as a screenwriter. He has a Tony, he has a Golden Globe. He wrote screenplays for movies like Skyfall, Gladiator, The Aviator. He going more on the horror slant. His first one was Bats. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a 90s, like I think almost like a made for TV like horror movie with Lou Diamond Phillips in it or whatever.
Yes.
He wrote that. He also wrote the Tim Burton Sweeney Todd. And he also wrote Alien Covenant. He's also openly gay. So that's a little so that's a little bit about John Logan. His directorial debut, but definitely not a newbie to the scene. He's been doing
very great work, very notable work for sure. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, I did want to mention that, Kevin Bacon, although he plays this character in this movie, he is very, very supportive of the LGBTQ community. He has spoken out against discriminatory laws and policies. His charity has raised awareness for gay rights and supported LGBTQ organizations. There's one that they support that actually works to help folks who have experienced conversion camps. Him and his wife also, made some viral TikTok campaigns about drag bans that were going on. So he is a very big supporter of the LGBTQ community and was even executive producer on this movie. So just wanted to shout out Kevin Bacon and his wife for that.
In case he couldn't be any more awesome.
I know, he's such an awesome person. Okay, and honestly, that is all my fun facts that I have.
Okay, I have a couple. It's not so much about the movie; it's about the history of conversion therapy, basically.
Sure.
More so of like what it looks like today. So as of right now, we have 27 states and the District of Columbia that have banned conversion therapy for minors, just for minors. That's not for adults. Youth that undergo conversion therapy are significantly at higher risk of mental health issues, including depression and suicidal behavior. 19 states and 4 territories have no state law or policies restricting conversion therapy.
I got a feeling I know what some of those states are too, but anyway.
Yeah, most of them are in the Bible Belts, but there's a few odd ducks.
Yeah.
And then 4 states completely prohibit any bans on conversion therapy whatsoever. So there's a ban for a ban, basically.
Oof, I'm not moving there.
Those states, if you are curious, because I will mention them, include Indiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So there you go.
We're looking at you, states. Come on.
Yep. And just keep in mind, like the only bans that are currently in place for conversion therapy is for minors. So if you're an adult, you can still go. And granted, like you're at less of a risk for that kind of thing because you're not being forced to really, but like societal pressure.
Yeah, totally. There's reasons that an adult could feel pressured to do that or have it, go in not understanding fully what it's about. I feel like, because I feel like, you could have people like Owen, right, that make it sound like it's you're here of your own free will. We want you to choose your own way. We're not here to make you not gay. We don't want to change you, but we do hope that you adapt this gender normative lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's get into rating this movie, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start with Ethan's review because he's not here and he really wanted to leave his review. I'm just going to read verbatim what he wrote to us. So he says he thought the first half was incredibly boring. He said it did get a little better when people started getting killed. He says it was decent, but he would not personally recommend it. He thinks there are far better queer horror movies. He did not absolutely hate the film, but with that being said, he would give it a 4.5. So,
Okay.
Yep. Jamie, do you want to tell us yours?
Yeah, so this movie is really interesting in a lot of ways to me. I will say that, like, I feel like this movie got a lot of shit. Like, it got a lot of negative reviews because sometimes I'll look to see what other people had to think out of curiosity, and this one got a lot of negative reviews. I don't think it's nearly as bad as a lot of people have to say that it is. I really don't. And I've heard criticisms for various different reasons.
Yeah.
So for me, I will say there are things I really liked about this movie, and there's things that didn't necessarily work for me as a horror movie, I guess. Okay,
Sure.
so I really liked like the human story of it. Obviously, I'm super against these conversion camps, so I thought like it as a setting is a great setting for a horror movie and an interesting place to go. I really liked the campers themselves. I liked the dynamics between them. I liked the emotions and experiences they were exploring. I felt like that was very real. I felt like they were relatable. I felt like they were shown a lot of respect in the writing and as characters. Jordan, again, was a huge highlight for me. I thought they were incredible. I thought it was acted very well. It didn't go the direction that I thought it was going to go. And I think they did that by intention. You know, I think like you go into it thinking that these campers are going to be the prey, essentially, right? They flip that on its head and it's the counselors who are the prey. Now, I will say, me being the horror person that I am, I think I would have preferred it if like almost like the campers like took on the counselors. I think that would have been more rewarding, and I was a little bit more invested in their stories than I was with Molly's because it kind of felt a little added, like kind of rushed at the end almost.
Yeah.
I also would have liked to like I definitely worry about the campers. I see that what's happening to them is manipulative, wrong. They're forced into situations that are awful, like having to shoot the dog, being sexually, you know, kind of like preyed upon like Kim was by this counselor. All of that stuff is awful. But I would have liked to fear for their safety just a little bit more because that would have made the twist sweeter to me. If like throughout the movie we're feeling like they're, oh my gosh, is the killer really after them? Because like the killer, it's actually a fairly small part of the storyline in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not a huge part of the story. So I think that if I would have feared for the safety of our campers just a little bit more, saw a little bit more cruelty even from the counselors, it would have just made the twist that much more satisfying.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see the counselors get it a little worse as well. And again, I would have liked to see how awful they are even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just amp all of that up. I also think like the tone, I think like this movie couldn't really figure out exactly the tone that it wanted to take because it kind of changes throughout several times. And some of the tone I really like. Again, the emotional moments, the connection moments. Like I said, this movie like brought tears to my eyes at several points because I felt it. Like, you know, I know people who have lived, you know, this experience or have been discriminated against or, you know, face these kind of things. So that all I really liked. I would have liked to see more gore a little bit. I know it's a PG-13, but for the twist to work and for that to be rewarding, I just think like they needed to do it a little bit differently. I needed to see more.
Yeah.
All that being said, I do not think it's a bad movie. I think there's stuff that's really, really well written about it. It's kind of in the middle for me. I think I'm probably going to give it like a 6 or a 6.5.
Mhm.
I would actually recommend it to other people to watch. I think it has some really strong messages in it that are positive and good. And I think that I definitely think we need more movies that cover some of these topics, that especially, like I said, these moments between the campers, like those
Mhm.
moments are golden.
Yeah.
Really powerful and great. I just, as a horror movie, I felt like the horror aspect of it was kind of rushed and really rather a small storyline that could have been built up with more tension and just done a little bit differently.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I actually agree with everything you said. I think that there definitely could have been a lot more gore, a lot more violence. Honestly, like add some extra camp counselors for fodder, and you had plenty of campers like to throw us off the scent a little bit. Like maybe they got in the killer's way, maybe they even defended the counselors or something, and they ended up
Perfect.
dying too. Like just I wanted more confusion on who exactly was the target. I think that would have been really fun. And like you said, like the horror aspect is really minimal in this story. It's almost like an afterthought. It's like, oh
Yes.
yeah, that's right. We're doing a horror movie. So like I guess we're gonna throw in a Friday the 13th reference. Like I'm not mad at the movie. I love the movie, but I do think that I understand why some audience members were like, this movie is not a horror movie. This is boring. Like I totally get it because most of the kills don't happen till the end of the movie and it's like all at once and they happen off screen or it's like boom done. All right. Like and it's really disappointing because like you want these counselors to suffer like
Yeah.
deeply and
Comeuppance.
yeah, and like I said, I think it would have been better if there was more of a like who's actually targeting who, like who's the real victim. It would have been really cool if we had multiple killers, like Scream. Like
Yeah.
there was so much potential and I feel like it was wasted, but like I still would recommend this movie. I think it's good for other reasons. Like you said, like lots of great character development. And I do think that these topics should be explored more in horror. And I'm not mad at the amazing representation we had, and there was great acting all the way around. I just wish that there was some better writing, and a little bit better editing. So, but overall, I think I would lean more towards like a 7. It's not really much of a horror movie. I think it's a great movie for teens,
Yeah.
or people that are like getting into horror for the first time because there's not a lot of gore, and the gore that there is, it's really minimal. It's
Very.
more, yeah. So overall, like I think this is a great movie for somebody who's wanting to get into horror a little more, but they're not really sure where to start. This is a good one to start with. So
Definitely. I could definitely see that. Yeah. Now,
yeah,
I don't think that it deserves all of the hate that it got because,
yeah,
man, people really like
they
reviewed
hate
this.
this movie.
People critiqued this movie, and like I get some of it, and I heard it from both sides. You know, I mean, I heard some. You know, I read some people thought that the campers were stereotypes. You know, I read that, and I'm like, I actually think the characters were, you know, really relatable for the most part. Like I do, but and people were like, and you had to throw in like a musical number, okay?
Yeah, I
And
saw
it's
that
like
too.
I know. And again, that goes back to the tone thing that I was saying. Like the tone does change quite a it like goes up and
Yeah.
down and kind of goes all over the place in this
But
movie.
I mean, maybe it didn't have to be a musical number. Maybe that was a bit too much. But I do think that that moment of happiness and brief joy for the campers, like it was definitely needed after some of the scenes that we saw. You know?
Yes, and it is a moment where everybody comes together, you know, even Stu, and
Yeah.
he's still very resistant to like his identity and who he is at that
Even
point. So
Gabriel, who's
yeah,
undercover, like he is all on board. Like, so I think it's a
yeah,
very interesting moment to look back on retrospectively, after seeing it for the first time. Like, it's a really interesting scene looking at
definitely,
the dynamics of the group. So,
definitely.
yeah. But that is they/them. It's been a wonderful Pride Month, and I'm very excited that we got to do this movie for Pride. I think it has a lot to say, and I hope it continues to say a lot of things for the queer community. So
Yeah, and let's hope too that, you know, it encourages more horror films or films in general that delve into some of these topics. And maybe even help bring awareness to the fact that, like, gay conversion therapy in camps, like, it's not a thing of the past. Like, it does still exist, like we were saying. So
Yeah.
if you don't know much about it, like, buckle up, because it's pretty awful, but it's important to know that this still exists. And we got to be allies to each other, and protect each other as much as we can. And that's definitely something to stand up against.
100%. And if you're not sure what it means to be an ally means standing up when other people's voices have been taken away. And it's not enough to just be silent. I understand a lot of people are fearful for their safety, even right now, with everything that's going on. But it's important to stand up for these marginalized communities, because, I mean, if you've been paying attention, history repeats itself. And unfortunately, we're seeing that happening right now. And I don't mean to be political, but it's very difficult not to be political in times like these. And also when we cover Pride Month, because yes, we should be full of pride, but we should also be able to stand up for our queer friends and family. They are just as much part of the horror community as any of the rest of us. So
absolutely. And, Pride Month, I just have to say, this is one of my favorite times of year. It's not just because my birthday is in June. I love Pride Month. I've been to some wonderful Pride celebrations throughout my life. And special shout out to the queer community. Like, you've always been wonderful to me. Like, I love this community so much. I always have. And just sending love to all of you, and hoping you had a really, really great Pride Month too. And you have a safe space here with us, on the Bloody Essentials.
Always. Yep. And with that being said, just remember, if you ever find yourself in a summer camp, whether it's a conversion camp or otherwise, don't have sex.
Don't do drugs.
And certainly don't die. We'll see you next week.
Bye.